If you are currently renting a home and you're wanting to become a homeowner, you're in the right place. My name is McKay Thomason. I am the COO of Meet Kevin's real estate startup, House Hack. My goal is simple. I'm here to help you go from renter to homeowner. Everybody knows the painfulness and difficulties of being a renter, and everybody wants to become a homeowner, but it is so difficult to do so in today's economic and high interest rate environment. I'm here to help you do so and help you hit all the milestones in between. A lot of people talk about saving money, a lot of people talk about making money, but we're going to combine the two strategies and we're going to help you climb the ladders of wealth to help you go from renter to homeowner. This isn't about theory. We're going to be talking about hitting real financial milestones, whether you're in debt and you want to get to zero, or if you're zero and you want to get to 10K, 10K to 50K, and beyond. These are very important financial milestones that will all help you getting to become a homeowner. In this video, I will be talking about the steps that you can take to build wealth and ultimately to become a homeowner. These are proven strategies that will work regardless of your current income. They're about mindset and systems and also where to save dollars, how to make more dollars, not just about the little pennies, but we're going to talk about that. But we're also going to go from how to save more, how to make more, and everything in between. Every day you wait to implement these strategies, you're costing yourself more, not only in dollars, but you're also having a huge opportunity cost. Let's go ahead and dive into what I'm talking about. I'm going to walk you through 9 simple steps that will help you completely change your financial trajectory regardless of your income. By the end of this video, you should know exactly where to start, even if you're starting from zero or in debt. Let's jump into it. One of the biggest obstacles that people face when it comes to building wealth is their perception about money. A lot of people think that money is inherently bad or evil, or people think that, oh, I can never be rich because my parents aren't rich, my grandparents aren't rich. None of those things matter, okay? This is all up to you and I. Building wealth isn't just about your income or how much you save. Although those things are important, it's also about starting with the proper mindset. A lot of growing up, I thought that money was inherently evil, that only the richest people could have it, that it was something you were born into, my perception about money was completely skewed by the people that I was surrounded by. But when it comes to building wealth, that either money is super evil or the system hates them, or that they can never be rich because their parents aren't rich or their uncles aren't rich, there's just a lot of perceptions about building wealth that just aren't true. Here's the truth about building wealth. Money is only an amplifier of who you are. If you're a good person, it'll make you even better. So what does that mean? We shouldn't be scared of making money. We should get away from the stigma of being rich is bad. Because if you're a good person, that means money will help you accomplish more good things, right? Obviously, we like to have our self-indulging things, but ultimately, if you're a charitable person, money will make you even more charitable. Here's a pro tip. Something that I always heard growing up is, oh, when I have more money, I'll be more generous. If you really want to have money be an amplifier of who you are, start being generous now. Because if you have $100 now, if you're giving $1 to a homeless person or $1 to your cousin who's running out of money, then when you have $100,000, maybe you'll be able to give $100 or $1,000. It scales. But what I'm saying is the principle needs to scale. You can't say, oh, when I have money, I'll be more charitable. That's not really necessarily how it works. And I know you think this is a silly point in becoming more wealthy, but trust me, good things come to those that do good. Money is a tool like a hammer. You can either build things or you can destroy things. And if you use money to build things, you can build some amazing things and change some lives for a lot of people. Start with little shifts, like the phrase, I can't afford that. Start with, I need to work harder, or how much do I need to make a month to be able to afford that? Start to change your perception around, I can't afford things, or I'm too poor. Those are all kind of victimizing statements. Start saying, what can I do to be able to afford that? What can I do to be able to pay that person? What can I do to be able to create more value, to be able to be paid more, right? Don't just say, I'm too poor or I can't afford that. Start attacking the problem. If you want that car, say, oh, how much do I need to make a month to be able to afford that car, right? Give yourself permission to want more. It's okay. If you have this grand vision, go chase it, right? I'm not talking about manifesting and do nothing, but if you work the numbers out and say, oh, I need to save X a month to be able to afford Y, then go ahead and do it. Find things that will drive you. Now, I know most of you want to have this mentality, and that's probably why you're watching this video, so we're not gonna spend too much longer on it. But one of the first steps in starting to climb that net worth ladder is starting to understand that you can do it, right? That money is not bad. Now that you're starting to think like a millionaire, let's start to figure out what we can do. Here's one of the biggest pro tips that I can give you. Start hanging out with rich people. Try to make it a goal that once a week or once a month, you try to find a high net worth person and take them out to lunch. Now we'll talk about that here in a minute, but find people that are richer than you, right? It is a good thing to be the poorest person in the room, and keep that habit going up so that if you have a net worth of $100,000, that you're in a room full of millionaires or people worth 500K plus net worth, right? If you have $1,000 net worth, start trying to find homeowners and ask them, hey, how did you afford your first home? Like, what do you do to be able to afford the mortgage payment? Things like that. Start to work your way up the ladder. Surround yourself with people that are more wealthy than you. Stop hanging out with broke folks, all right? They're not gonna help you. Ask these rich people about their habits, how they made their money, why they like making their money. People think this is such a taboo topic, but if you come at it from an angle of like, oh wow, that's so cool, like, do you have any advice for me? Like, what would you do if you were in my shoes? What's something that you see trending? Like, what is a smart way, like what's a safe way that you think about making money? Start getting advice from people that make more money than you, because I guarantee you'll learn a lot more. Why do you think I wanted to start working with Meet Kevin? I wanted to start getting in the room with people like him. I have learned so much from him that I can't even fit it all into one video if I wanted to. But hopefully I can sprinkle little tidbits of what I've learned from hanging around Kevin so much. Kevin's an awesome dude, and he's completely shifted the way I think about a lot of things. I know talking to people about their net worth and how much money they make, although I don't think it should be taboo, I do know it is, and it's a big obstacle to overcome. So what can you do if you don't want to get in the room with rich people? Start listening to rich people. It has never been easier to listen to people with high net worth. Every rich person have a podcast. There's so many wealthy people that have podcasts that talk about money. There's so many people on YouTube that talk about money. There's so many books that talk about money. You can literally find the rich. It's so easy to access wealthy people now because you can just listen to what they say. Start reading books, start listening to their podcasts, start thinking about how they're making money and listen to the things that they're talking about. The average American spends 50 plus minutes per day commuting. Now, if that's yours, give or take, that's over 250 hours of content that you can start listening to. That if you want to listen to how Joe Rogan made his money, there's a billion documentaries on YouTube. If you want to listen to how Elon Musk got started, his biography is fantastic. If you want to listen to how Meet Kevin made his money, go watch his YouTube playlist. There are endless ways of learning how to make money, whether you want to do it in real estate, whether you want to do it in tech, whether you want to do it in selling real estate, whether you want to do it in building homes, whether you want to do it in different ways. You can find any way you want to make money, and you can find a top earner in that category on YouTube. They've written a book about it, something. Start learning. Now, I know some of you are going to think I'm crazy, but this is one of the most important steps that you can take in starting to build your snowball. Now, I know a lot of you are going to think that this point is crazy, but this is one of the most important steps in starting to build your wealth snowball. Go ahead, open your credit card, and cancel every subscription that you have. Everything. Spotify, Netflix, Hulu, gym memberships, cancel everything, because those are going to be your recurring costs that cost you the most amount of money per year. If you have 5 $15 per month subscriptions, that's over $900 per year. Now, I know when I did this exercise, I had a whole lot more than 5. I try to do this every year. I go through all of my subscriptions and I cancel everything because it's good just to start fresh. Now, I'm going to throw a couple hacks at you. One of the subscriptions I recommend you don't cancel is YouTube Premium. If you don't have it, I actually encourage you to get it, because that allows you to be able to listen to music on the go. It allows you to be able to listen to podcasts on the go. It allows you to not listen to ads, because there's so many ads in YouTube videos. It makes the video more long, so it's a longer period until you can watch the next video. YouTube Premium is one of the biggest subscriptions that I would recommend you definitely keep if you're wanting to continue your education and learning about specific people or specific qualities. So if you think there's a subscription that you absolutely have to have, go ahead and cancel it, rebuy it, and then cancel it again. Now, what that's going to do is you cancel it, so you're going to end it, and you know how to. That's 90% of the battle, is learning how to cancel the subscription, because they make it super tricky on purpose, because they're sticky, because that's what makes businesses so valuable, are sticky month-over-month subscriptions. You're going to start it again if you think you absolutely need it, and then cancel it. What that's going to do is you just paid for 30 days. So if 30 days rolls around and it's like, oh, I didn't watch Netflix near as much as I thought, is that really worth $25 a month, or how much ever Netflix is? Then you don't have to renew. You can show yourself that you don't need it, and then that sticky subscription won't fall off again. And if you think, oh, I need it for sure for another month, do the same thing. Start it again and then cancel it, because now you're only paying $30 per month. You're not paying a recurring $30 a month and forgetting about it, and you don't keep that subscription rolling. That's just a super dangerous thing. Cancel everything. If you absolutely need it, start it and stop it again immediately, because then you'll stop the recurringness. One of the things that I've learned is, if you're not paying for a gym membership, ask yourself, are you going to the gym every day? If you are, maybe you can keep it. If you're not going to the gym every day, consider running outside. Consider doing bodyweight exercises. Consider going on Facebook Marketplace and buying a cheap set of dumbbells and starting to build your own at-home gym, so that you can stop getting off of these monthly memberships. Cutting out memberships is one of the biggest hacks, and just finding alternative ways to be able to do what you were doing at the gym at home, or going on a run, things like that. Super awesome. And something awesome about YouTube is you can get entertainment for free. So if you're like, I don't want to cancel Netflix, get YouTube. There's so much free content on there that you can watch shows, movies, you can watch documentaries. There's some incredible content on YouTube. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this next one because most of you guys already understand this, but housing expenses are one of the biggest reasons people spend money. Now, obviously, everybody needs a place to live, and I actually have a slightly different take on this than most. If you are living at home, one of the biggest things that I did to be able to boost my net worth was I actually moved out of the house. That was the biggest thing that I ever did for my net worth because it got me out of my parents' house on my own, and all of a sudden I had a lot more free time than I ever thought. And that's when I started making YouTube. That's what started making me to build a following. That's what started me helping me learn about finance and things like that. And ultimately, that's what led me to be hired by Meet Kevin's team. So that's one of the biggest things I can recommend is if you're living at home, then set a deadline. Be like, okay, I'm gonna save X amount of money by this date, and then I'm gonna move out. But I mean, you can try to take advantage of it as long as you want, but it's a super sticky trap to fall into because you fall subject to lifestyle inflation. People don't save as much as they think they should, and it's ultimately a barrier because you're either living with your parents or you're living with somebody that doesn't necessarily align with your goals, and it's super tricky. Now, if you're living in a big place, and you don't need all of the space, try to downsize. I know it's crazy, but when it comes to saving money to buy your first house, this will be a really big thing, and you'll be really glad you did. Or another thing is if you're living alone, I did this for like 3 or 4 years. I lived with roommates. I lived with random people that I never knew, and I know a lot of people don't like this, but that's what it took for me to save as much as I did. I literally rented out an Airbnb with a whole house full of other people, and I went to the owner. I said, "Hey, can I stay here long term?" And that's what I did for almost a year. Then the next thing I did, I actually lived in one of my friend's living rooms on an air mattress for almost 2 years, a year. And that's how I saved money. I literally he was one dude and had a 2-bedroom apartment. I was like, hey, and he had one of the other bedrooms that was an office. And I said, hey, do you mind if I put a mattress in your living room? And he kept to himself. He didn't have anybody else that was living with him or coming through the house necessarily. And so he was super nice and let me do that. And it helped me save a ton of money to be able to afford to move into the house. So I'm super grateful for that. If you're a single dude or if you're a single gal and you're comfortable taking risks to save money, and you're comfortable giving up some of the luxuries in life, yeah, it wasn't fun sleeping in the living room, but guess what? I went up and I went to work, I came home and I went to sleep. I didn't have a couch to sit on or a TV to watch at home. I just kept working. I worked late into the night. I started working on YouTube, things like that. It forces you to be more creative when you have less things at home to distract you. That's my hot take on housing. A lot of people don't agree with it. But if you really wanted to climb the ladder of net worth, then decrease your living expenses. Find any way you can. If you want to have somebody come live with you, do that. If you want to go live with somebody else, do that. Figure out a way because it's definitely possible to reduce your housing expenses. So here's the thing. I have a super controversial take when it comes to eating out. Until you have your first 10K, no eating out. Do grocery pickup or have groceries delivered to you. Grocery pickup a lot of the times is free, or having groceries delivered to you is such a small charge that I think it's worth it, or some companies offer it completely for free. So here's what I recommend. Go pick up your groceries at grocery pickup or have them delivered to your house. One, shopping takes forever. It is so much time taken out of your day to go shopping. And if you need to go to the store twice a week, now it's double time. It's terrible. And if you're going shopping, then you're gonna be like, oh, I'm hungry, I want a box of Oreos. Well, one, that's not the healthiest thing for you. And two, that's expensive, okay? So have groceries delivered to you or go do grocery pickup. A lot of times grocery pickup is free, and having groceries delivered to you, if you hit a certain threshold, it's not that expensive. Definitely worth it because it saves so much time. Okay, so like I said, no eating out once you've hit 10K. And I'll talk about the 10K milestone in here just a second. But once you've hit 10K, congratulations, you've graduated to the dollar menu. Now this is something that I had trademarked with all my friends. When I went to go eat out with my friends that we were like 19, 20, 21, 22, I would famously get things off the dollar menu. So we're talking Jack in the Box, McDonald's, Taco Bell. They have really good dollar menus, or with inflation, it's like $1.50, whatever. You find the cheapest things, it's usually like the Cravings meal or whatever. You can get a bean cheese rice burrito or a spicy potato soft taco from Taco Bell for $1. Now, if you get 5 of those, that's a whole meal. You get 3 burritos, 2 tacos, that's a whole meal for like $8 after tax. That's excellent. Usually a lunch with a drink, fries, and a burger will cost you at least $12, and that's if you're lucky. So until you have 10K, don't eat out. Once you've hit 10K, now it's like, congratulations, you've gotten to the dollar menu. Now, when you're going to eat out, get water, don't get soda, because that's like $3 no matter what size you get. Don't get fries, don't get the side, just get those items because that's how they sucker you in. That's where those companies make their margins. So get the meal, get full, get home. I know this is extreme, but trust me, this is what was a huge helping stone for me, and I see how much people spend on eating out. It's crazy. If you're going out to eat every day at lunch, you're spending about $12 a meal. If you're going to Chipotle, this is way worse. But if you're spending 12 bucks a meal, that's $3,100 per year. That's almost 18% of a $500,000 house down payment at 3.5%. So when you're going out to eat, skip the fries, skip the Coke, just get the burger. That's like $8 to $10 usually. But remember, stick to the dollar menu. Now I know there's things like birthdays and special occasions, but when you do that, be as smart as possible. But if you're alone and you have the late night, midnight munchies like I used to get, go to Jack in the Box. They have 2 tacos for like $1.50. That's totally worth it. Now, is it the healthiest thing? Of course not. RFK would be super upset if he listened to this. But I understand that sometimes you just need to get out of the house, or sometimes you need a snack, or sometimes getting a whole meal is super expensive and you just want a snack. So I would go to Jack in the Box for $1.50 and get a taco, and I'd get like 3 of those and for $3. Sometimes I understand it's super late. I would work super late, trying to get videos out and starting to try to build my YouTube channel, and I just need a snack. There was a Jack in the Box just a block away, so I would drive my car down there, and it was open 24 hours a day, which is super cool. $1.50 for 2 tacos, so you're talking $3 and you get 4 tacos. That's awesome. So I highly recommend finding tips and tricks like that. Strategies, don't overspend on eating out. Definitely not worth. Dave Ramsey famously has the debt snowball. He talks a lot about like paying off debt, and we'll get to that one day. But getting to that first 10,000 is one of the most important things you can do. Not because like the compound interest of that 10,000 is going to save your life. It's cool that you can use compound interest with that 10,000, but more importantly, you've learned how to save 10,000 and you've learned how to make 10,000. Rinse and repeat that, baby. That's all you need to do. Now, I know that's super oversimplified, and we're going to continue to talk about different strategies, but get to that first 10,000. Don't eat out until you have 10,000. Trust me, it's a game changer. Once you get a $10,000 net worth, welcome to the dollar menu. I know this is hard, but it's not forever. It's just temporary. Get to that first $10,000. It should be a motivator, and you can use it as a motivator. Say like, hey, once I get $10,000, I get to go to In-N-Out. Another trick I had with Del Taco was I could get 2 burgers at In-N-Out for $8. And don't get fries, don't get a drink, just get 2 burgers at In-N-Out for $8. And that was something that like on like a hard day, I was like, oh, I really want something more than a $1.50 taco. I could get 2 burgers from In-N-Out, and it was $8, didn't break the bank. Remember, this isn't forever, it's just temporary. Get to $10,000. It is super, super important that you are tracking every expense possible. I know there's super fancy apps and everything like that, but remember, we already canceled all of our subscriptions, so we shouldn't have any subscriptions. Chase has a really good way to track every dollar that goes in and out of your Chase, but I know sometimes people use Apple Pay, it doesn't track correctly, whatever. Whatever you do, open Google Sheets, open Excel, whatever you have on your phone. Every time you swipe your card, every time you have a subscription go off, every time you buy on Amazon, put it on a spreadsheet, because I promise you, you need to track everything. Simply tracking everything you spend will help you save so much more. After you're tracking everything, then you'll start subconsciously thinking, oh, I don't need to spend that. Or the pain of pulling out and putting it in your phone on the spreadsheet, it's like, oh, I don't want to buy this because I don't want to put it on the spreadsheet, right? So it's super important. Track every single dollar you're spending. One of the most helpful things I can recommend. I know this one's pretty commonly talked about, but I want to say something about it. When you're saving your first $10,000 or first $50,000, or you're trying to get out of debt, don't worry about putting money in stocks. Please don't worry about it. If you're in debt, take every dollar, build a small emergency fund. We'll talk about that. I don't think it needs to be a crazy amount. Build a small emergency fund. You can kind of figure that out, but I'll have a whole video on that. Build that emergency fund, but start aggressively paying off as much high interest rate debt as you can. Credit card debt. Everything that you're saving, pay off that credit card debt. Credit card debt is so evil. Then, if you have a car loan, start aggressively paying off your car loan. Whatever you need to do to start getting rid of those negative interest rates working against you, don't worry about stocks. It is not time for that. I will talk to you about when it is time for that and some of my tips and tricks. But if you don't have any debt and you're at zero, don't worry about stocks. You can put in a money market account. Recently, the money market account I used was VUSXX. I think it's a 4% money market, but by the time you're watching this, rates have probably changed. Put a money market. Put it in just the if you have money and you're like, I want this gaining interest, put it in the S&P 500, or just Google or ask your banker or ask your broker, whoever, a money market account. Start saving money for your down payment, because if somebody calls tariffs and the market crash, then now your down payment's gone, right? Now I know investing is over the long term, but if we were looking to buy a house in the next 6 months to a year, then you don't want to have to worry about the status of the stock market when you're buying a house. Keep your money safe. Protect your capital. Warren Buffett says rule number 1 about investing is never lose money, and rule number 2 is don't forget rule number 1, or something like that. If that's not his rule, if that's not what he says, it's close to that, right? But if you're saving money for a down payment, you're not necessarily investing, you're still saving. So you can put that money to work, but do it in a high yield savings or in a money market, because buying real estate will be much more with a down payment of that size, of that $30,000 to $50,000 range, will become much more leveraged and much more helpful than putting in the S&P 500 just hoping you get 8%. But before even that, it's okay to take a portion of what you're saving and find something that you want to invest in if you think it's high enough leverage. For example, if you really want to get into marketing, start for free on YouTube, find a website maker, and start making websites. Now we're going to talk about this in a whole slew of other videos about how to start a side hustle, but start investing. I think Alex Hormozi calls it the S&P 500. Take a little bit of that money, find a skill that you want to start building, and invest into it, whether that's learning graphic design, whether that's learning Photoshop, whether that's learning how to video edit, whether that's learning how to build a website. Start to take a little bit of money to invest into you. What can you do to learn more? What book do you need to buy? What headphones do you need because your headphones broke? Whatever you need, invest a little bit of that money into your education, because that will have the highest ROI. Obviously, you want to start building some savings for the down payment, but take a percentage of that, we'll talk about it, and put it into the S&P 500. Now, this one is pretty basic, but you have to have ruthless prioritization. You have to separate your needs from your wants. You need a house, you need food, you need water, you need a bed, and honestly, in today's day and age, you kind of need an internet connection. So those 5 things, and those should be your highest priorities. Maybe there's some things that I'm missing here, but the rest are wants. Do I want to go out to dinner? Do I want to pay for this gym membership? Why can't I run outside? Why can't I do body weight exercises? Do I want to do X, Y, and Z? Start cutting out the wants. If you're not at $10,000 yet, get to $10,000. Or if you're in debt, take that money you're saving and, like I said, aggressively pay off debt. It's ruthless prioritization. It's the hard part that nobody wants to talk about, but also most of America is in some sort of debt, and most of America can't even afford a house right now, and that's what I'm here to help you do. Ruthless prioritization to get to where you want to be, becoming a homeowner. Delayed gratification is a superpower. Now, I argue that the S&P 500 should be a need. You should need to invest into yourself a little bit, because unless you're investing into yourself, you're not going to be able to grow, and it's going to be very hard for you to grow that net worth snowball. I'm going to talk a lot about this in another video, but I want to briefly talk about it now. So if you want to see the full video, leave a comment that you're wanting to hear the full video on this. But the 9-to-5 is going to be your best friend. You need to have a W-2 in order to qualify for real estate. Now, this is something that people don't talk about. People think you're going to get rich overnight and make $1 million. No, that's not going to happen. That's not what I'm trying to talk about here. You need to have a 9-to-5. So if you don't have something that's a W-2 or a super high income 1099, I recommend get a W-2 as soon as possible, especially in this economy. Any kind of W-2 that you can get it. Now, I have a couple perspectives on this. Get a W-2 that's high paying 9-to-5, right? That's only 8 hours. Now there's some really important concepts here. You have your 9-to-5 and your 5-to-9. Those are completely different things, and I want to talk about them. Your 9-to-5 is what you're going to be your main income earner for your housing, your needs, right? And some of your wants, but we're going to have a limited number of wants until we're building this wealth snowball. If we're starting at 0, getting to 10,000, then you got to eliminate your wants, but you have to have a strong 9-to-5, right? A reliable 9-to-5 where you clock in, you clock out, and you can work as hard as you can. Preferably a 9-to-5 with a super high ceiling, and make it known to your manager like, hey, I'm here for the long haul. I want to try to make as much money as possible and provide as much money to the company as possible. How would you recommend, how could I do what you're doing? How could I get into a better position? How could I become a manager? How could I become a shift lead, a supervisor? Start asking those questions at your 9-to-5 to become more valuable to that company. You get pay raises and you increase your job security. There would be nothing as detrimental to this wealth building process than losing your 9-to-5, right? So protect that 9-to-5. It is your baby. It is your golden egg. That's what is going to be able to pay for your S&P 500 to be able to leverage, to be able to make more money, right? We've talked a lot about saving money. Now we're starting to talk about how to make more money. Strong 9-to-5. If you're in a 9-to-5, or if you're not getting 40 hours a week, or you have the ability to get more than 40 hours a week, you should be getting a minimum of 40 hours a week at your W-2. And if you're not, then you need to find a different job. Go apply to a local bank. Start getting in finance. Start getting into anything with a stable 9-to-5. One of the jobs that I think is super underrated is start working at a bank. Become a bank teller, okay? A lot of times they have really nice benefits. They have really nice insurance, they have really nice investment options, and a lot of times they'll pay you for you to get your FINRA licenses. You get your Series 65 through a bank. Now, all of a sudden, you're an investment advisor. You go from bank teller to investment advisor. Oh, you bring on a corporate client. Now you can slowly get into investment banking. That's a sort of made up path, but it's a totally possible path, and I've personally seen people do it myself. So there's all types of ways. If you're working at In-N-Out, no shame in the game. Become an In-N-Out manager, become a regional manager. Find a job where you can work your way up the ladder. Because unless you're working your way up the ladder, you're not gonna gain your income, and you're on the chopping block anytime a recession comes into play. You want to be the top dog. You want to be the hardest worker at whatever you can do. I'll make a whole video about this, but have a strong 9-to-5, and a 9-to-5 where the corporate ceiling is high. Where if you're working at Chase Bank, find a path, go from you to where Jamie Dimon is, right? Find a way to be able to get on that road to as high up in the company as possible. Now, with your 5 to 9, this is your S&Me 500 time, okay? This is your time where between your 9-to-5 and your 5 to 9, this is where you're studying for your real estate license. This is where you're studying for your financial advisor license. This is where you're vlogging about your whole journey to becoming a homeowner, and you're monetizing it. This is about everything you can do to generate a side hustle. Now, there's a difference between a side hustle and something that you're just throwing money at to waste money. Have the end in mind. How can your side hustle make money? If that's your real estate license, great. If that's your financial advising license, figure out where you're gonna be able to hang your license to be able to get clients. Now, I'm gonna make a whole video about this, but don't squander your 5 to 9 time. Don't just go chill on the couch. Now, if you're like, oh, I don't want a 5 to 9, it's going to take you a lot longer. Possible, but it's going to take you a lot longer. Something about a huge hack with the 5 to 9 is once you have a side hustle with intention to get income, you can start to write things off. You can start to write off camera equipment. You can start to write off a lot of different things. I'm not a CPA, but talk to your CPA, talk to a CPA, start to learn about taxes, right? That's one of the biggest things that, though, like I talked about being surrounded by wealthy people, start asking those wealthy people, how do you save money on taxes? What are some tax hacks that you have? It's a huge thing. We pay a lot of money in taxes, and guess what? The more money you make, the more taxes you're gonna pay, so you wanna learn how to keep more of that legally. I'm gonna make a whole video about your 9-to-5 and your 5 to 9, but it's important to have both. So if you don't have a strong 9-to-5, find a strong 9-to-5. If you don't have any idea where to start your 5 to 9, start watching YouTube videos. Figure out what you want to do to make money. If you want to become a real estate agent, watch Graham Stephan, Meet Kevin, or anybody else. If you want to become a financial advisor, find a financial advisor on YouTube. If you want to become a CPA or get you started studying to get your CPA license, figure that out. If you want to go back to school to get something else, find a night school that you can go to become a doctor, whatever it may be. Strong 9-to-5, because that's how you're going to qualify for a mortgage. And then a strong 5 to 9, that's how you're gonna be able to balloon your net worth and accelerate this path. In this video, we've covered 9 essential steps to help you go from either in debt to 0, 0 to 10K, or 10K to 50K. If you enjoyed these 9 steps, my whole goal is to help you go from renter to homeowner. I know it's really difficult, especially in this high interest rate environment, but I wanna help you prepare to be able to make that leap either when rates come down or when you have enough money saved and it makes sense. I'm gonna talk a lot about that. I just talked about a lot of stuff today. Find 1 or 2 things from this video that you can apply ASAP, whether that's canceling 5 subscriptions, whether that's doing grocery pickup, whether that's eating at the dollar menu, or find anything from this video that you're like, huh, I haven't thought about that, or that's an interesting way. If you don't have a 5 to 9 yet, and what I mean by that is a 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., figure it out. Find a way to start a side hustle or anything like that. Take a tactical point, apply it to your life. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing or check out one of the videos down below, as I'm trying to build a whole catalog of videos to help somebody go from 0 to homeowner or from renter to homeowner, however you want to look at it. I'm trying to help as many people as possible because I think becoming a homeowner is one of the biggest hacks, and ultimately becoming a homeowner, you'll realize all the hacks and you'll want to get a rental property, and we'll take you along that ride as well. So if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, share it with friends and family, share it to somebody that you think is doing really good at this, or share this to somebody that you think would greatly benefit from this. Thank you for watching. Check out meetmckay.com. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and on to the next one.